by 1-8-7 at half-time. Michael.
And back here in our Croke Park studio, we have Joe Bradley, Colm Rourke and Pat Spillane. Colm, it's been high-tempo stuff. Dublin are playing well, but the gap in the scoreboard isn't huge.
Yeah, it's a wonderful sporting occasion. Great atmosphere, there's great pace to the game. It's been a great contest so far. Dublin more clinical, even though they've had a couple of very bad wides, particularly from O'Gara. Very similar to the pattern of the Dublin-Tyrone game. Tyrone who had more scoring chances that day, but Dublin forcing them out. And we have one of the great one-man exhibitions of football in the first half from Bernard Brogan. You know, we set out a contrast between Brogan and Goulding as the two main attackers. Well, it's a no contest. Brogan given one of the great performances we've ever seen in Croke Park.
In actual fact, Colm, anytime the ball has come down this side of the field, which is into the Cork defence, you can nearly hear the fire brigade ringing.
Yeah, there's a bit of panic in that Cork defence, and they've tried two men on Brogan. It's not working. Graham Canty, to me, doesn't look fit, and Dublin, the more clinical team, when it comes down into the forwards, there's panic stations, whereas Cork is slow build-up and finding it difficult to get scores, being forced to kick from wide positions.
OK, we're going to take a short break. Further reflection on that first half in a few minutes. Now, also, it's a fascinating tactical battle as well.
Yeah, it's not a great game of football, Michael. You had 16 wides in that half, but it is a fascinating battle, and it's a great contest. And like, Dublin are winning because they had more purpose, more flair, more work rate. They seem to have a plan, and as Colm said, they had the class player on the field there in Bernard Brogan. Cork's tactical plan came out of the clueless tactics of GA department, because they had no clue. There was no work rate, there was no cohesion in the forwards, and the slow build-up from the defence is just playing into the Dubs' hands. I mean, if these Cork fellas invented a sat-nav, they'd take you all over the country, backwards, sideways, and you'd end up back where you started. It's absolutely kamikaze
is
tactics.
Is that because Dublin just simply not allowing them to develop some of that?
No, there is that, but sure, they knew that. A blind man would know that at the start again, that's the way Dublin were going to set up. But the way Cork are playing it are just playing into their hands, because they're doing the short kick-outs, and it's long, slow, laborious build-ups. God save us, anyone could defend against that.
The reason for this, Pat, is, you know, you talk about my obsession with method. It's method. The reason that a Dublin team of virtual unknowns are, you know, really putting Cork to the pin of their collar, and it look very much as if they're going to go on and win the game now, is method. Cork are playing the game in Dublin's terms. I don't know how many times we sat in the studio and I said, Kerry are playing the game in Tyrone's terms. You know, they're moving forward. Their half-backs are being sucked forward by the screen defence, and now Tyrone are counter-attacking against them into the space. I'll give you a good example of what I mean. If Bernard Brogan were playing where Goulding is today, behind a screen of Dublin defenders, we would be saying he's not doing anything. If Goulding, meanwhile, were playing where Brogan is, where they're attacking into the space and it's 2 against 2 every time they attack, we'd probably be saying Goulding's having a marvellous game of football.
Yeah, but
the point about it is this, that it is the method that is enabling Dublin to do this. Because every man, look, I'll give you an example. Jose Mourinho goes to a team. What does he do? He teaches them exactly how to play. This is where you are, this is where you are, this is your role, this is exactly what we're going to do. That's what players crave above all else.
You can create, Dublin, Joe, you can create chances for a player, but he has to be class enough to take it. Bernard Brogan has scored a goal and 3 points in play in the first half.
The point Joe is making is there's a lot of rubbish there, because you put Brogan out against Tyrone with all their screen defence, and he destroyed them. Like, you know, so like one man against a defence can work it if he's good enough. And Brogan, as you said before, he's one of the top Dublin forwards of the last 30 or 40 years.
But he's showing for it, he's working for the ball. I mean, you look at the goal, the goal is classic. It's simple football, it's long, direct football, and it's naive defending on the part of Ray Carey. He was goal-sided, the defender. I mean, that's the confidence of a great forward.
You'll notice, Pat, that in Cork's case, they're just employing a normal man-to-man system.
But this is what I'm saying, Joe.
They're just running where...
But Joe, if you were listening to me, what I said at the start is that Cork's tactical game plan was so naive that you put one of the weakest defenders in the Cork team, Ray Carey, and you put him marking the best forward in the championship this year. Talk about being naive and stupid.
Well, Carey was certainly caught out there. There's no question at all about that. But on the other side of it, look, there's only a few points in it at half-time, and Cork, Colm, have kicked wide after wide after wide.
Yeah, well, a lot of that is because Dublin have been forcing them to kick, and also, like, you have the likes of Aidan Walsh, who has got a huge amount of possession on Ross McConnell, who hasn't been in the game at the start, and he's been kicking for points, and he's not the fella to be kicking. So you had him and Noel O'Leary and Pierce O'Neill when they should have been trying to play the ball in a bit closer. They did exactly the same against Kerry too when they came under pressure.
But they can't play the ball in closer, because for the same thing as we highlighted in the quarter-final, the Cork inside line are hiding behind their defenders, and they're not working, and they're not showing for the ball.
Apart from the fact that there's always a sweeper in place, it's a very precarious way to try and win a game, kicking points from 50 yards. But I mean, their game's based on logic. They're forcing Cork to kick the ball from 50 metres. Cork don't have half-backs and forwards who are natural scorers, as we discussed before the game. Dublin look much more likely now. You would have expected at half-time, Dublin would have been delighted to come in at half-time level, or even a point behind. 4 points is a massive advantage when you're playing such an ultra-defensive game as the Dubs.
Cork also got in for a couple of goal chances. We saw Paul Kerrigan, whether he meant to or not, he came back up.
Real half chances.
Cluxton had to make a
real half chances.
Well, Cluxton had to make a big save.
This was a goal chance, Joe. This was a chance for Pearson O'Neill.
Yeah, well, Alan O'Connor gets through, and you know, he gives it to Pearson. He should have punched the ball over the bar there. When you get too close to Cluxton, you've no chance, because he'll come out and he's very brave.
Well, he wouldn't have the quickest hands and quickest feet. He should have taken the simple option, punch over the bar. But maybe this is what we saw last year's All-Ireland final, where Kerry retreated back and said right to the Cork forwards, come beat us, and then sometimes they don't have the composure when they get within reach of the finishing line.
Dublin are setting the agenda here, and Cork are playing to that agenda because they don't have any other notion. You can't just come out against a team like Dublin the week or 2 weeks before it and discuss it and decide how you're going to play against them. You've got to have been working on it the way Dublin have throughout the year. Dublin are ready. Dublin were ready for Tyrone for that reason.
Okay, we're headed off to another break. Stay with us for more on this All-Ireland.
Thank you very much, Michael. Yes, Keith Barr and Niall Cahalane are here with me, and we're getting quite a reaction from Hill 16. Niall, when I was in Cork last week, the word was that Michael Shields would be marking Bernard Brogan. It's a bit naive of the Cork management to put Ray Carey on Bernard Brogan, wasn't it?
Yeah, certainly a bit strange, I think, to put Ray Carey on Bernard Brogan, who has been one of the best forwards in the championship so far, you know. And Ray seemed to have got caught for yards there early on. Now they've made that move, and it seems to have settled things down a bit. But early on, we had been in big trouble in our full back line, I think, you know.
And the ball into the forwards is quite poor. It's a big, long, high ball. And when you consider Nicholas Murphy and company are along the sideline, surely should have put one of them in.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. It's aimless. It's maybe high and what have you at times. And I think Dublin are getting men in behind the ball, and they're working very, very hard and intense.
Let me put that point to you, Keith, because Dublin are playing a very defensive game. They're allowing Cork to take the kick-outs, and it's working very well, isn't it?
Well, it is. Pat Gilroy will be the very happier of the managers going in at half-time. I mean, their plans in the first half, the tactics have worked a dream. We're getting men behind the ball, and we're frustrating Cork. And that's what's disappointing from Cork's point of view, is that they're panicking on the ball, the quality of their passing, they're turning over the ball very easily, and they're playing into Dublin's hands here, whereas Cork need to get possession and go at Dublin if they want to win this game, because they're in serious trouble here, Mark.
You still believe Dublin going to win this?
I do believe, yes. I think Bernard Brogan's on fire in there, and Cork are finding it very hard to hold them.
Quickly, can Cork retrieve it?
I think so, definitely. I think Dublin are going to find it very hard to keep that intensity going for the next 35 minutes, and I think Cork